I am so glad that you joined us today. Once again, I am your host, Rhonda Kulch, and we have an amazing lineup of talent for you this week. But I had such a great experience a few weeks ago. You may remember I had a friend of mine, Arthur Germain, who joined us, and he was giving us a ton of information about really growing your business. And, his whole business is about brand telling. So I feel like we cut that segment short. We had way too much to discuss. So once again, I have brought back Arthur Germain to give us a little bit more information about brand telling. So how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks very much, Rhonda. I appreciate you bringing me back on.
Yeah, you and I had, sometimes I bring a guest on and it's really fluid, right? Everything just flows. And before you know it, our time is done. Our segments are, 10 minutes. We have to get, people in and get their message out. But
Yeah.
I feel like there was so much that we left on the table when you were with us last time. So why don't we just take a quick minute and reintroduce who you are and what your background is and how you got involved in brand telling.
Sure. So my name's Arthur Germain. I am the principal and chief brand teller at Brand Telling, a brand storytelling agency. And all that sounds kind of funny, right? Lots of times you'll hear somebody say, I'm the business owner or something. I decided to use the title principal rather than CEO because it's not a big company. It's me. And I wanted the people that I worked with to know that they get to work directly with the principal in the company, that they work with me. And the chief brand teller part is a little fun because the company name is Brand Telling. And when I explain that that's about brand storytelling, I say, well, I'm the chief brand storyteller or the chief brand teller. So I decided to have a little fun with that. And I know plenty of people have goofy titles, the chief people happiness officer, there's all kinds of things. So I feel I fit right in there with all the millennial titles.
You and I were speaking about the market from 10 years ago to the market today. And, you and I have known each other for a long time, but as we discussed, we're two ships in the night. Yep. I know you, you know me, but we never spent any time getting to know each other. And I think what we identified in that conversation was what you are doing today was not as relevant to my business 10 years ago. Because brand telling 10 years ago, without the push of social media to where it is today, was a very different climate. So tell us a little bit about how your business has evolved. I know, unfortunately, you had a partner that passed away during this transition. So give us a little background to what that's been like for you.
Sure. And I appreciate that. I think what you said is very true. I started this agency under a different name in 2005. And I was focused on public relations for technology companies. And the interesting thing there was, it was kind of standard PR. We were creating news releases. We were looking for opportunities of inclusion in a story, maybe an award, some coverage for a client. And somewhere along the line, the clients were wanting us to help them tell more stories in their content. So we were working on, I'm going to use the word case study, but I don't like that. That's what we started doing, is case studies. And over time, I realized those case studies is kind of what you do in Harvard Law School, and it's usually about a bad thing. We do customer success stories. So we try to tell the story of of how the customer benefited from whatever our client is providing them. And so we morphed into doing content marketing. And I think that's what, where you and I met, where there was a lot of content marketing going on, and people were trying to get that right. What is the mix of types of content that you could provide? Is it audio? Is it video? Is it an ebook? What's the proper mix? And then as we move forward, my partner, Mike Simbram, who is the creative guy, and the two of us, we joked we were like the Penn and Teller of marketing. Mike's very quiet and I'm very boisterous. So we would talk about how we could put that together. Mike was working on it visually. I was working on the content. And after Mike passed away just 2 years ago now, I did hit that transition, and I wasn't, I wasn't able to provide the graphics there, but I also saw a real need for people to get the strategy right and to get their story right. So lots of agencies will talk about the message matrix. You'll hear them use that term. Oh, let me build you a message matrix. And that's great. And it sounds kind of technical. So I use the term the brand storybook because it's a little bit more comfortable. It sounds like you're going to kick back and sit and read something to the kids. But what the brand storybook is it contains all of that information, your elevator pitch. What does the news release boilerplate look like for your news releases? And then the all of the content, the story. It looks like the About Us page, expanded edition for your website. But that becomes the well of where I pull content, and that's where I've really kind of enjoyed, working with companies, because people often say to me, but I have lots of different stories. What am I going to capture? And we try to put that into the brand storybook, because you have a different story, right, Rhonda, for your customers, and you might have different customer segments. So there's different stories there. You have stories for your employees and stories for the community that you serve. I know that you do a lot of charitable giving, so you're going to have a story for that. And those different stories, they need to share a theme, but they're not going to be the same story. So that's the part that I really enjoy, working with folks on. And my background was as a writer, as a journalist. So hearing all those different stories and then trying to, thread a narrative out of them, to make sense. Because the worst thing that can happen is if somebody says, "Oh, I didn't know you did that. I had no idea." And you go, I've been doing that for a while. How come you had no idea? And I think we've all found ourselves there. And it's just, trying to tell that story. And then go ahead.
No, I was going to agree with you, because it's a lot of it is about messaging. And ironically, yesterday I had a phone call from somebody because my marketing has been very consistent lately in relation to my business side of my company versus the consumer side of my company. And somebody yesterday called me and said, I heard you're no longer doing, this. And it took me back, and I had to say to myself, oh my God, do I need to go back and look at the fact that I'm now ignoring? It's like the one child is getting more attention than the other. I'm not creating, evidently, a good mix so that people from the outside could understand that I do work in more than one space.
Right. And I think that's a really good point. And I appreciate are you favoring one child over the other? I have two daughters, and I tell them both, you're my favorite. You're my favorite first daughter. You're my favorite second daughter. So
we do that.
And what I think in that case is, so you want to think about what's that kind of central theme for you. I help improve your credit so that you can own a home, own a car, to move you forward in your life or to move you forward in your business. And, kind of thinking about what's that for you, what's that central theme that you take and say, for business owners, this means X. For consumers, this means Y, and then you haven't left them out. But it's important to have, you're going to have messages or as some other branding folks call it, languaging around certain things that you do. And I think what you do is very unique. And I think, you want to highlight that. I think most of your listeners really, if they think about it, they do have a unique business. I gave a presentation one day, and I said, everybody have a unique business. And one guy said, well, I think of my business as a commodity. And I said, let me help you there. I said, salt is, we think it's a commodity, right? Table salt. It's in the Bible. It's, so that's 2,500 years of people talking about salt. If you look into it, they were like, mining salt, 6,000 years ago. But if I say in a room full of people, quick, think of a brand of salt, like half and more than half of the room, they'll raise their hand and go, Morton, because they've done such a great job at branding such a simple commodity. And so I think, I think that everybody can do something that's unique. I did that presentation once where I said, oh, and what's their slogan? And everybody like yells, when it rains, it pours. And I like went to the next slide that had when it rains, it pours. I'm like, I know this slogan. I wanted to see if you did.
I love it. I love it. So I'm going to pause right here. We do have to take a quick commercial break, but stay tuned because we're going to be back with Arthur Germain, and he's going to be giving us tips about how you can help spread the word about your brand. And welcome back. We are with Arthur Germain, all about brand telling this week. So Arthur, thank you so much for giving us a little bit more time. I know that what I wanted to jump into with you is some tips, the foundations of what some of our listeners can do if they are self-employed or they have a little bit of a side hustle.
Right.
Really some ideas that they could walk away with from today's broadcast so that they have a better understanding of how they can start positioning some of their marketing.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fantastic question, Rhonda. What I see, here's a great example. I was at a trade show yesterday, and a trade show is a loud, kind of a crowded place. This is a show where everybody had tables and they had tabletop banners and they were all talking. You really had to push your way through. And I saw very few of the tables, very few of the companies had really simplified their message. We were just talking earlier about that you have multiple messages. Well, a trade show is not the place to try and tell every single one of your messages, right? I think it's important when you go to do something like that to have maybe that single core message that you're going to talk about, and don't try and put all of that stuff onto your banner. What I see lots of companies try to do is put way too many things into their ads. Won't use a company by name, but I see ads in the paper for a company that is a home improvement company. And every ad they do, they list every single thing they do. They do the windows, they do the doors, they do the roof. It just looks like a million things. And I'm left with, what do you do? What do you specialize in? And I think if you take that in the reverse, I know you want to say, yes, we do the doors, but don't forget we do the windows. I think what you want to do is say, we help you build the home that you can be proud of. And you don't have to list all the things, or if you're going to list them, do it in a small list at the bottom. We do all these things and more. The idea that you need to shove every single thing in to get your money's worth, I think that's wrong. I think what you really want to do, whether it's your business or your side hustle, is think about that core thing that you do that really helps your customer and the benefit they get. For me, I say, I can help you think more clearly about your message and deliver that consistently to your customer. That's it. I didn't say that I write press releases and that I write ebooks and that I write blog. I do all those things, but I don't need to go through the list. Really, what I want to talk to you about is getting your story straight and then sharing that story. So I think that's my biggest tip. And then you can build from there. But does that make sense, having that single story?
It does. And I think what happens is that when you have, again, there's so many varieties of companies out there. So in relation to even myself or yourself and others that we know, sometimes being a specialist, or maybe from what I'm hearing, you're better off creating multiple marketing funnels or streams, specializing in that one topic so that you look like a specialist there. Because the worst thing you could do is be like, I got that, and I could do that, and I can do that. And then all of a sudden you've watered down your professionalism in a way. I hate to say it that way, but when you all of a sudden become that person that can do everything, what do they say? You're the master, master of nothing, right? And I think
Jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah, exactly. I think sometimes that could work reverse. And even when clients call me, they'll say, oh, I had no idea that you could do, workout packages for people in foreclosure because I don't market that. And I'll have to say to them, well, we do, and this is how we do it. But, if we start putting it out there, we're going to dilute the real core of what we do. And I say to people, who is equity first? And I'll say, we are problem solvers, right?
Right.
That's regularly what I will tell people. We're problem solvers. But to your point, if I started listing, well, we could do, foreclosure relief and debt settlement and credit restoration for businesses, and we build all of a sudden, I think the messaging becomes jarbled because I want that one specific client who needs that one specific service. And it would probably be better to submit information and understanding about that one topic and be the specialist there. Not everybody could do everything well.
Right. And I agree with you there. And I think the counter to that is, if you think that there's a service or some things that you do that, that you want to make customers aware of, then, using social media or using email to do a "Did you know" campaign is a really great way around that. So you might be saying, equity first, we help you with your credits, we help you with your loaning, we help you get your life back on track, we help you get your business back on track. Maybe, you have that. But if you want to say that you have a specific program, you could do, "Did you know?" and say, "We are #1 at doing X, Y, and Z, contact us." And you can drop that in, and it doesn't dilute the messages. You can think of it more like it's a new stepping stone put down. Think about a beautiful yard in the backyard, and you've got the nice table in the backyard. You're just laying different stepping stones, and these are the "Did you know?" and they're leading to the same place, because it's not a different company that does that. It's your company, but the stepping stones are, "Did you know we also do this?" And "Did you know we do this?" The thing you want to do is not compete. "Did you know" should not list 15 things. It should list one thing. And, you can talk about that. And that's what I mean about the trade show. There was an elder care and estate planning group, a law firm that I thought did the best job there. They simply had a logo. They showed, they had a picture of, people working, sitting at a table with an elderly couple and their adult children. And it just said that they were, elder care and estate planning specialists. And it had a benefit, we help you, something like move wealth to the next generation. That was a much better way to look at. You could say, well, do you do tax planning? Yes, we do. Do you do, estates and trusts? Yes, we do. But they didn't need to list the 50 things on that. They just had a nice statement, a pretty picture, and you could stop and pick up a brochure, speak with, there were a couple of attorneys there. You could speak with them about what they do. And I just thought that was, I got in a snapshot. I understood what they did. And I even made assumptions about things they did, because you're a law firm and elder care, that just wasn't necessary on the big list. And heck, that becomes a banner they can use at 2 trade shows rather than just for one. But that is what I think, is often missing.
I love it. I love it. Now, also, I just want to congratulate you, because I know that you also recently wrote a book about brand telling. And I know we have about a minute and a half left. Tell us, perfect, The Art of Brand Telling. How can people find your book if they want to learn more and connect with you?
Sure. Thank you. They can go to theartofbrandtelling.com, and 2 buttons there that, one will send them to Amazon for the paperback or Kindle copy. The second one will allow them to download an ebook bundle that contains the Art of Brand Telling, as well as 6 other ebooks and PDFs, really designed to help them kind of build their story, move their story forward. And what I want to do is, Rhonda, so if anyone in your audience wants it, I'll give them a 20% off for it, and just type in credit 20 in the and apply that as the code, credit 20, all caps for credit and 20, and then they can download it and get that ebook at 20% off.
Amazing. I love it. I love our conversations. I feel like once again, we are out of time, but you have shared so much knowledge and information with our listeners today. So once again, we are speaking with Arthur Germain. Stay tuned. We're getting ready to bring you another guest.